So this week's movie is City of God. The scene that we're going to take a look at in some more detail is the scene called Benny's Farewell Party. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Benny's Farewell Party. So if you want to take another look at that scene, it's about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, and we're just going to talk about the scene in its entirety until its dramatic conclusion. So just a little background. This is kind of the end of an era. Benny and Lil Z have been friends since childhood, and they've been partners. And Benny, I guess, is tired of the hood life, and he's decided that he's gonna move to a farm and basically just smoke weed and listen to music because I guess he has tons of money now, so he can do that. And it's kind of seen as him leaving, like for love, I guess, is the main theme. So the things that we're going to talk about are the general camera work, the contrast between Lil Z and Benny throughout the scene, and then how the scene ends. We'll talk about how it ends in some detail as well.
So, like most of the movie, the camera work is pretty frantic. There's a lot of cut scenes. There's a lot of close-ups, wide-angle shots, shots from above, shots from below, which is particularly effective in this scene. It's a party. There's a ton of people there. There's sort of seems like the intention was to situate the viewer at the party to create that, to mimic that experience of being at a party.
And almost the experience of being intoxicated as well, because the camera's
it's moving all over the place. It's there's a scene where the camera starts upside down, turns over, it's shaky, so it can be a little disorienting. It could be very similar to being at a very large party
and very intoxicated.
Yeah, it's loud. The music is changing quite rapidly, and at the same time, these close-up sort of very quick cut shots are contrasted with shots where you see the entire crowd, because there's quite a lot going on in the scene, with Benny, with Rocket, with Knockout Ned and Lil Z. So it can sort of be difficult to keep track of everything at once, and I think that's sort of part of the intention with all the rapid cuts, things of that nature. There's a lot of shots of lights, I suppose to give you the feeling of being dizzy, again to mimic the feeling of intoxication. It's going in and out of focus all the time. So it's an effective style for the scene, putting you in that position of being someone at the party.
So one of the things that's really interesting in the scene is the contrast between Benny and Lil Z, with Benny as a people person and friendly and well liked, and Lil Z as none of those things. And this is done really effectively, mainly by through specific camera work.
Yeah, framing.
So Benny is never alone in a shot. He's with all kinds of these different groups of people. He's always laughing, partying, and then that is contrasted with a very close shot of Lil Z doing nothing, just standing, not talking to anyone. He also shows up to the party alone. My laptop's gonna die. So he shows up to the party alone, and all of the shots of him are right in close. And even when he does interact with other people, it's very strongly contrasted with how Benny interacts with other people. He has that excruciating interaction with the girl where he just yells at her a bunch of times.
It's very awkward. This is not a smooth guy. He's very different from Benny. It's you can see it in those close-ups. It's almost hard to watch. Because he is so awkward.
He's just very aggressive. His interactions are either there's no interaction at all, or it's hyper aggressive, which again contrasts everything Benny's doing quite strongly.
And just like a close-up shot is hyper aggressive.
Yeah,
they get right in. So it really, you get to learn a lot about the character just by the way that the framing is done and the way that they're presented.
And the one thing we mentioned before, but I think is one of the best examples of that, is that Benny's always with other people and Little Z is always alone, which is interesting just to point to their general like the success they've had so far is likely a result of both of their personalities being in play. Just Little Z wouldn't work, and just Benny,
they balance each other.
Yeah, they had a kind of symbiotic relationship, which obviously after this scene is over and Benny is dead.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Oh, we told you to watch it.
Yeah.
After Benny's dead, everything basically just goes to hell. So that Lil Z isn't the same without him, basically. Should we move on to the final scene?
Yeah. So probably the most important part of this scene occurs when Benny is trying to give a camera to Rocket, sort of like a farewell gift.
Yeah.
I would assume. Lil Z sees Benny sort of enjoying himself, interacting with others, and Lil Z seems to take out his frustrations.
He's jealous.
Yeah. So he takes it out on Benny. He wants the camera. They start fighting at the exact same time. The music changes. It's much louder. I think it goes from kung fu fighting, which is like a really laid back song, to some sort of rock song.
Yeah.
And at the same time as well, a strobe light kicks in. So it becomes maddeningly disorienting. You're seeing flashes of different things happening in the crowd, close-ups, and then at the same time, we see the character Blackie, who had recently been spurned by Lil Z. He's back to sort of take revenge, and through the light work and through the camera work, we see him sort of slowly making his way through, sort of almost like he's stalking them. Stalking Lil Z. He's with the way that the lights work, he moves up every time the strobe flashes.
Yeah. It's the introduction of the strobe really takes everything that was already disorienting, kind of pushes it up a level.
Yeah, it generates a lot of tension as well.
Yeah.
Along, like, in character with the scene and with the nature of that, the interaction that's happening between Benny and Lil Z, and then Blackie coming up, you get the feeling that something bad is about to happen.
Yeah, but when I was watching it, I didn't actually think it was going to be Blackie who was going to do the shooting. It's such a disorienting scene. I didn't realize that Blackie was the one who did it until the next scene when he kind of takes credit for it.
Yeah, and that's part of the light work as well, that it's so disorienting that it's just generally difficult to follow what's happening. And then we see, so after the shot is fired, Benny is hit and is killed. The party clears out. The lights remain flashing even after the party is over. The music stops playing.
Yeah, the music cuts completely.
Yeah, and then we see, without Benny, or without the party, you see just how alone Lil Z is.
Lil Z is immediately alone and just a silhouette, because the lighting is just like a shape of a person in a suddenly completely empty room, which is such a stark contrast to how it was before.
It's like without Benny,
there is no party.
There is no party, exactly. And especially for Lil Z, because he was like his moderating horse.
Yeah.
Wilsey, you can tell by the way he reacts at the death, screaming and popping off air shots, that yeah, things are gonna take a very violent turn, and
yeah, it's quite symbolic. It's just him by himself in an empty room over Benny's body, and obviously he has an aggressive reaction, and since there's no one around to shoot, just shoots his gun into the air instead, because that is his solution for everything.
Yeah, and and the lighting and the music and the framing really just brings it all together.
Yeah,
it lets you really feel it.
Yeah, it's a good scene. It sometimes even almost has a found footagey kind of feel to it, the way the camera is jerking around and
sort of like it's all pieced together.
Yeah. So I think that's everything that we wanted to talk about.
Questions or comments?
Anyone, please,
what
post
did you
below,
think about it?
and we will reply.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.